First up, haven't been posting as much as I'd like to have been, trying to strike that balance between actually starting and then trying to make it perfect, just ADHD things. But that out of the way, how's it going? I'm Achillia, and what can only be described as propaganda gone terribly wrong, the New South Wales State Police ran TikTok account, yeah, that's a thing apparently, decided to post this online in an attempt to better connect with the Australian youth.
What you call an icon living? Start a record label, Misfits just did it.
Nylon cover 5 minutes. Whoa, we are too hot in the business. About to make a movie independent. Need new truck.
Did they just... Unsurprisingly, there was an immediate backlash on both TikTok and Twitter, with some of the top comments reading, why on earth would the New South Wales Police make a fun TikTok that features the point of view of someone getting stomped on by a policeman in boots? New South Wales Police saying the quiet part out loud on TikTok. Point of view, you're an Indigenous teen in the proximity of a New South Wales police officer who's having a bad day. That last comment referring to the disproportionate and unjust treatment of First Nations people by police officers. But that's a topic for another video. This all resulted in the New South Wales Police posting an apology in the comments of that video on TikTok, saying, "We'd like to acknowledge concerns raised by members of the community and apologize to anyone who may have been offended by the transition we used." Though shortly after posting that comment, they decided ultimately to delete the video entirely. And with that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation. Do you think people were too tough on the police, or maybe they'll let off too easy? Leave your comments down below. Next up, there's this crazy and developing defamation lawsuit going on, involving comedian YouTuber Jordan Shanks from the YouTube channel FRIENDLYJORDIES, far-right commentator for Rebel News AVI Yemini, and an anonymous Twitter account which the entire story centers around by the name of PRGuy17. Back in February, AVI Yemini filed to sue whoever was behind the account of PRGuy17 on the grounds of defamation, pointing to tweets from PRGuy17 calling him in one instance a threat to Australia's national security, and in another, calling him a criminal that either caused or contributed to surging COVID-19 cases. However, alongside this, and possibly more importantly, AVI Yemini has made the claim with no evidence several times that PRGuy17 is in some way connected to and working for the Victorian Labor Party government and Dan Andrews, the state premier. It's at this point that I feel the need to point out that Australia is not America. To make a long topic very short, what I mean is that many tend to assume that we have the same constitutionally protected rights to free speech as the Yanks do. We pretty much do have freedom of speech, but there are these tiny caveats that have enormous ramifications. One of which is defamation laws. Back to the story. In early June, 4 months after the defamation suit was filed, the Federal Court of Australia ordered that Twitter would be required to hand over the identity of PRGuy17 within 14 days. With this most recent update, YouTuber FRIENDLYJORDIES then put out a video challenging AVI Yemini on his claim that the anonymous account is actually run by someone working for the Victorian State Government Labor Party, along with asking his supporters to boost the hashtag #TakeTheBetAvi. And so far, AVI Yemini hasn't responded to FRIENDLYJORDIES. But that's not the entire story. As Tom Tanuki, writing for Independent Australia, has pointed out, there's a bit of an ongoing pattern here. If people understood Rebel News' revenue-raising model better, we'd be having a better discussion about how to limit their influence. Every new video of his is attached to a call to donate to a new cause. Once he stood in a puddle and tried to fundraise for the 2022 floods. Not for victims, of course, but for his transport fees to fly over to the puddle. He once asked for money for a security staffer already on his payroll. The examples are endless. Using the legal system as a platform to stage legal stunts which make money for an offshore media business is, to say the least, a wild misuse of said system. And that's where we're at with this story, and I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this one. For me personally, I am legitimately shocked at how no one is picking up on the hypocrisy of the hyper-libertarian far-right guy getting angry, like on a defamation lawsuit. Like the guy where their one thing is like, we can say what we want, freedom of speech. What? Like what? But Oh yeah, and I suppose there's also like that, the whole precedent being set for the rich and powerful now just using this as a tool to silence criticism. But yeah, this next story is great news for the gaming industry, as the first ever union specifically for game production in Australia has just been created. The newly formed Game Workers Australia emerged as a result of Game Workers United Australia, an organisation to support game developers partnering with the union Professionals Australia to create a new and formalised union for game developers as a division of Professionals Australia. From a blog post on the union's website, since launching in 2018, Game Workers United Australia has been supporting and empowering workers to build a better games industry together. As part of our efforts, we have been connecting our members with Australia's union movement, and we have also been negotiating to bring the union movement to Australia's games industry. Last week, the Board of Professionals Australia met and endorsed a proposal for Game Workers United Australia. That proposal was the result of more than a year of negotiations, consultations, and discussions between us, all with one goal in mind: to create a new division of Professionals Australia, entirely for game workers. Today we are thrilled to announce that negotiations have been successful. Further down the page stating, we will retain our free membership tier and continue to offer the same assistance that we currently offer to anyone in need who approaches us. But with the power of Professionals Australia behind us, we'll be able to do so much more. Take legal action to defend our members against underpayments, discrimination and bullying, organize collective agreements at workplaces, and lobby government and industry on an equal playing field with studio owners and publishers. And as always, if you'd like to learn more about Game Workers Australia or even join them yourself, the links will be down below. And the last story for today is on the federal election. Just last month, Anthony Albanese and the Labour government won the 2022 federal election, making Anthony Albanese the 31st Prime Minister of Australia. That's right, no more ScoMo and no more coalition in power. Now, unlike the 2010 election, which was the last time we saw Labour in power, they won't be needing to work with the Greens in the House of Representatives to pass legislation, as they have formed a majority government this time. Speaking of the Greens, they did fairly exceptional themselves. Adam Bandt will finally have some friends over in the House of Representatives. In what has been dubbed the Green Slide, 3 new Greens members have been elected to the House, changing the Green count from 1 to 4 members elected. Those being Stephen Bates for Brisbane, Max Chandler Mathers for Griffith, I hope I said that right, Elizabeth Watson Brown for Ryan, and of course Adam Bandt maintained his seat of Melbourne in Victoria. On the coalition side of things, Peter Dutton has been elected as the new leader of the Liberal Party, with David Littleproud being elected as the leader of the National Party. And yes, Scott Morrison did maintain his seat of Cook, so he is not 100% gone just yet. But of course, with all this positive news, I do want to point you to a great post from the Young Greens on Instagram saying, "Politics doesn't begin or end at the ballot box," which I could not agree with more. Now with a more progressive government in power, now is the best time to be pushing for those better changes, to be out there protesting, out there doing those labor strikes, fighting the good fight for that change, that better society that we want to see. And that's it for today's video. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, then of course hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week or next year.